Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Maximilian College Basketball Picks and Analysis for Wednesday, February 25th. I'm your host, Max Hoffmeyer, and I've got three matchups to go over for today. Yes, changing things up a little bit, got three plays for today. We normally do two on weekday episodes, but I actually like a lot today, which is kind of out of character at this point in the season. But yeah, I had enough to muster up three plays. And as you can see on the screen, 0-2 yesterday, always a bummer. Probably due for something like that. Things have been running hot lately, but no worries because all I care about is, zoom out. What's the season record? We're still doing really, really well. I don't really care what happens day to day or even week to week. The Georgia State Coastal under was a little disappointing there. They only scored 58 in the first half, but absolutely could not miss in that second half. Florida State, they did cut it to 1 in that second half, but could not hold on, which, I'm not surprised this one didn't cover because I talked about how Florida State, they gave up a bunch of threes and Miami, Florida can't shoot. Well, last night they could shoot 44% from deep. So not surprised, but, that's part of the game. Game-to-game variance happens. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into today's three-pack of plays. And for play number one here, we got Ohio State going on the road to face Iowa and catching about 6 points. Bruce Thornton for Ohio State has been on an absolute tear. He's earned himself 4 straight KenPom MVPs as he's doing, everything he can to just will this team into the tournament. Something that Bruce Thornton sadly has not done yet in his career, which would be a shame for a guy, who definitely deserves a March run. The problem here, though, is despite him going off every night, it really hasn't translated because, he's their only option. This team is shorthanded at the moment. No Mobley and no Royal. They both missed last game. And I like the spot here for Iowa. They return home off a loss and catch an Ohio State team on the second leg of a road trip after that Michigan State game. Thornton, absolutely Superman in that game. But he did play 40 minutes, and I'm just a little worried that not only are they short-handed, but even when they are healthy, they're 317th in bench minutes. Not only that, a massive coaching advantage here too with McCollum versus Diebler. So for the first play, I am going to go ahead and take Iowa minus the 6. I think even if we get a Thornton A game, I just don't know if it's enough. So, if he goes off and is absolutely Superman for the 5th straight game, drops 30 plus 35, whatever. I'm a little worried here. So I'm going to go ahead and take Iowa minus 6 for play number 1. And for play number 2, heading to the SoCon here, Mercer and Western Carolina facing off. These teams already played once, and that game saw 164 points, and which is just a tad higher than this total. But what caught my attention is the fact that we expected 178. We expected more because both these teams, they had tons of extra chances in that game. Western Carolina had 17 offensive rebounds, Mercer 20. These extra chances, it wasn't an outlier. These are the 2 best offensive rebounding teams in the conference. They were also extremely efficient inside the arc, and I would expect more of that as these teams cannot defend the rim. Western Carolina, 332nd in rim defense, and Mercer, not much better, sitting at 276. Both defenses here give up, about 40+% of opponent attempts from deep, and that is the norm in this conference as they do have some good 3-point shooting teams in the SoCon, and these teams are no different. 36% for Western Carolina and 37% for Mercer. So between the fact that we expected 178 points in that last game, I am going to go ahead and take the over here, 160.5 for play number 2. And for the final play, we got Summit League matchup here, South Dakota hosting Nebraska Omaha. These teams already played once, and South Dakota won by 4, but Omaha will be looking for revenge here as we actually expected about a 20-point win for Omaha, and that is because Omaha had its worst shooting game of the year, 1 of 19 from deep in that one, so just an impossibly bad shooting night. And, after that loss, they moved to 2-4 in the Summit, which was disappointed because this team returned about half their minutes from a team that won not just the regular season title, but won the Summit Conference tournament and earned themselves a bid. I don't know. You might remember from last year, they were banging trash cans. The vibes were great. But yes, started a little slow this year. But since then, they have looked much better. They're 6-2 since that game in league play and have really been hopefully turning a corner here. This should be a good matchup for them as well. They give up a ton of threes on defense, and South Dakota is one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the Summit at 33%. Meanwhile, South Dakota's defense, terrible rim defense, 362nd in defensive rim frequency allowed, as about 50% of opponent attempts come at the rim, and they're allowing 62% on those attempts. So Omaha should be able to capitalize on that. So for the final play, I'm going to go ahead and take Omaha to get their revenge and bounce back here and, keep that good run going. So I took Omaha at like a pick. There is like -1.5 out there, but go ahead and lay the money line like -115 or whatever. So for the final play, taking Omaha here. And that will do it for today's episode. Thanks so much for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And best of luck on the plays.